Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope everybody's having a great week. Well, welcome to Know Your Gear QA Live. Let me refresh two things real quick for you guys. Quick question, anyone? Do a mic check. My mic looks good, but just in case, I can't tell if I bumped something, and I thought I remember the readouts looking the correct way. But if I seem quiet, let me know and I'll bump up the mic. Okay, couple things. Hold on, I'm stuck. Typical. Let's see. Hold on. Of course, I'm having technical difficulties starting out the show. Sounds good. Okay, thanks, Sean. Sean says sounds good. I'm just refreshing my screen real quick, and then I'll be fine. And nothing. I can see your guys' comments, but I can't see the stream is active. Please understand the technical difficulties. All right, we're going on without it. All right. So anyways, a couple things. If you're new to the live show, a couple things to know. If you're watching the rebroadcast of this, I've taken time to timestamp and index all the comments down below in the description. If you're live with me, go ahead and start a question or a comment with a question mark first that I know it's directed towards me. And while I'm waiting for all that to happen, I'm literally going to open up a new screen because Brian says new camera angle. Might be, but there's a reason for that in a second. Hold on, guys. I'm literally on my side, like all my screens are locked, and I can't see anything other than your comments. So I might just have to redo this again. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go through it. We're just gonna have to push through, but literally, so you guys know, it's I'm seeing nothing on my end. I don't know what's going on. Everything is frozen. So, but I can see your comments. So it says somebody says buffering. Yeah, see, and now I'm getting the message saying it's not receiving enough to get. Okay, I think we fixed it. Hold on one second. Worst live show ever. This is fun. I can't even see your guys' comments now. Okay, now you're back. Now I can see your comments. Okay, it says now it's live again. All right, good. Hold on. We'll get to questions in 1 second. I'm literally not sure what's going on. But I cannot get into any screen still. Okay, there we go. I think we're fine now. I think it's all good. I think what happened is, hold on, let me go into it. Just want to make sure. So I should see you guys okay in 1 second. Yep, I see fine. So what happened is obviously I use Wi-Fi in the house for my computer, and I use a hard line for the live show, and for some reason my computer would not switch over to the hard line, so it was toggling. So we're good. All right, now we're working. We have a hard line going, and everything is fine. So let's get into some of the QA, finally. Nothing like technical difficulties. Okay, so today we're going to do some questions like we always do, but I already have a subject already because I got some interesting questions from last week. I want to give you some guys updates of what happened last week. The first thing is, obviously, last week we were talking about Guitar Center running out of guitars, and I asked you guys to put comments in the video if how your Guitar Centers look. And without a doubt, it was 80-90% of the comments where your Guitar Centers are empty, and a lot of you guys were saying your mom and pops are empty. Of course, some people were saying their stores look stocked. Like there was a couple said Sam Ash looks stocked, and a couple said that their mom and pops look stocked. And it got me thinking a couple things. First, one of the other questions I asked you guys was, I said, in my Guitar Center that was empty, I noticed that all the high-end, the American Strats and the American Les Pauls were in stock. There were a row of them. And I said, what do you think that means? And all kinds of comments, everything from, people aren't buying high-end guitars, which is only interesting because since COVID, I'm very aware of the fact that high-end guitars have been selling factually. In other words, I'm not just guessing. I see it through affiliate links. I've seen stores depleting. I've talked to manufacturers and to retailers who are selling through their high-end guitars. My wife actually said something really interesting, and she said, well, you know what it is? No one buys high-end guitars at Guitar Center anymore. And she didn't say it like she thought about it. It was a reaction. She's like, no one buys high-end guitars at Guitar Center. And when she said that, I went and took a look at Sweetwater and online. What I noticed was, a lot of the guitars that Guitar Center seem to be stocked for in that one store, of course. I'm only talking about my for instance. There seemed to be a lot of stores, the online companies were running out of those guitars. So she might have a point there. That's a really interesting point, that a lot of people are not buying their high-end guitars from Guitar Center. And the reason I thought about that, and this is what comes into today's show, and then we'll get into your guys' questions. Plus, we have a mystery unboxing, some mystery unboxing stuff over here to do. There was a time where it was really hard to fight with Guitar Center over the high-end guitars, okay? So I'm talking from personal experience. People would come in your shop, you would have a guitar, and Guitar Center would always beat you. They would always beat your price, no matter how. No, there was no way to beat Guitar Center. So it was always the bane of every mom and pop in existence. Somebody go in there, how much you want for that custom 24? I could do it for $2,300. The Guitar Center is $1,900 out the door. You're like, oh man, you do the math, and you're like, man, I'm just not making enough money to make it worthwhile. So we'd always match Guitar Center, but Guitar Center was always bash or slash. And some of you guys remember when Guitar Center took away the negotiating tactic. They took it away. And the reasoning being, at that time, the CEO of Guitar Center had said that the reason they took away negotiations from the employees was they said, well, they're allowing the employees of Guitar Center to actually run the profit line of Guitar Center, and they didn't want them to do that anymore because the employees were doing their commissions. So they were just like, as long as, they just slashed the price of the guitar to get the sale so they get the commission, but it wasn't good for Guitar Center. So Guitar Center took away negotiating. And so what I was basically thinking about that was, it's funny because really goes to the point that, then once you couldn't really get a deal on a high-end guitar, I think it really killed some of the high-end guitar sales for Guitar Center. So interesting thoughts. I thought we'd just recap that last week, but that still hasn't led me to today's comment, or today's question. First question I got this week that I really enjoyed, which was, the industry there's been a lot of talk in the guitar industry for about 20 years now, and maybe a little bit more than 20, but 20 for sure. And I mean talk from buyers like us, consumers, from manufacturers, from industry outsiders and insiders, that this industry in particular, the guitar industry, has been making too much product. It's said all the time. Now, granted, it's said casually by just, John Doe and Jane Doe public, they make too many guitars. Who's going to buy all these guitars? There's no real thought put into it. It's just a statement. But I'm talking about observations from people saying, this industry has literally been making so much product and that it's been out of control. And there's been no way to tell if that's true or not. And it's still no way to tell. But interesting, COVID has really created another perspective. And here's a perspective. And this is what I want to talk about today. Which is, in the last 20 years, I've seen all kinds of industries: the video game industry, the computer industry, Apple computers, the watch industry. I've seen all kinds of industries have run on things. In other words, they run out of stuff. They sell so much they couldn't anticipate demand. And the newest, clothing trend, the newest shoes, the newest, for a while people were really into these water bottles. This isn't the one, but there's like the Hydro Flask or whatever. Even beer coolers, right? Right? There's all kinds of things that have been huge in the consumer market sector, and never have I once ever seen any guitar store, much less my own in the past or any of the guitar centers, be empty of any product or run low on product. There was always product. Even in the recession, there was tons of product. Now, I understand there was a run on buyers, but obviously a lot of companies were shutting down and cutting production. It was funny. So so it made me wonder, about now there's actually seems to be a demand. In other words, there seems to be less product than demand. We're not saying demand's way up, but it seems to be it's up. But it obviously supply is down, so demand is up a little bit, supply is down a little bit, and now we're seeing the first time ever retailers actually trying to get product. Now, of course, manufacturers are trying to get parts for product, but you get where I'm going with this. And then it kind of made me laugh about the fact that over the years, think about all the artificial demand that the industry has tried to create with limited edition, anniversary models only, this color. The color thing is always what makes me laugh. I love it that a guitar company will paint a guitar a color and then somehow make it sound like it's impossible. This guitar is purple and we will only do 100 purple guitars and we will never do any more. Even if there's 300 people that want them, we will not sell the other 200 people purple guitars because purple is so magical. It's a magical unicorn purple. You can only get this purple on Thursdays. So I always chuckle, and sometimes it works. Let's not pretend that we're not above it. Sometimes, as silly as it is, making a limited color, a limited model, changing things creates this artificial demand for a product. In other words, think about that. The product, they can make as much as they want of it, no problem. They have the time, they have the resources. The paint, it's gallons and gallons of it, but yet they're only going to make a little bit, so therefore it's special. It's kind of funny. So Brian says the world's hardest tone color. Yes, tone color. So it's kind of funny, right? It's kind of funny and to see how this industry seems to be reacting to what seems to be the first real demand on the industry in 20 years. And I'm just saying 20 because that's just, as far back as I can remember really in this industry. So interesting times. And since I wasn't around when the Van Halen boom guitar sales party happened, I wasn't even a guitar then. I was too young. But it makes me laugh now, thinking like, is this what this was like? I don't know. It's interesting times. So I thought I'd bring it up. I thought it was funny to talk about and kind of think about if you guys could type some examples of stuff you've seen, like I said, fake demand that they've created. There's so many silly things. I was actually talking about to a friend today about how companies have put, like, they made woods that are not exotic sound exotic. Right, like this, they make a run of the guitars out of this wood and they're like, listen, and then you look and you go, that wood is not even hard to get. So there you go. So that was funny. So let's read some comments. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the on this subject, and then we'll go to the next subject you guys want to talk about. Christopher says, it's just a paint thing. How hard could it be? Exactly. That's my whole point, right? I understand there's some kind of like integrity to the fact that, hey, we're only going to make 100 and then we only make 100 or whatever. But my whole point is, why even have that in the first place? Right? Why even have a number of limited? Who cares? Other than to drive up price and drive up demand, which is the artificial thing. In other words, I say artificial because the demand and the supply, the low supply is creating the demand, but the low supply was predetermined. It was picked. It's not real. It's not like I said, it's not like they couldn't make more. They can make as many as they want. They want to create a buzz, and it works. And so it'll be interesting now, because I think we've seen so much, and that's really the core of what I'm getting at. We've seen so much artificial fake demand in the last 20 years. I think a lot of guitar players are having problems digesting this real demand. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments like, oh, no, this is not happening. And I'm like, it's happening. There's a run on guitar supply right now. It's for sure. So, I mean, could it be fixed tomorrow? Sure, of course, because like I said, all it takes is the demand to run down a little bit and the supply to catch back up. So, in fact, we could be in the opposite problem in 3 months. We could have the supplies pick up to go not only where they were, but actually increase to what the current demand is, and the demand drops off. We know there's all kinds of problems out there. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Daniel says, supply is up and quality is way up. So much better than when I started playing guitars, amps, pedals. Everything is better. Everything is definitely better. It's funny. It's funny that we were given the forum, the platform for what we do now, us being a guitar communities and talking. It's funny that we have the ability to now talk about gear and kind of critique it and stuff. And really, it's the best it ever was. It needs the least amount of critiquing because it's so dang good. It's kind of funny. I mean, think about this. Even when we talk about something that we don't like, that it's not really good, like a cheap multiprocessor or a cheap component or cheap part or even a cheap guitar, and it's like, it's not very good. It's really amazing, actually. It's just, yes. So yes, I believe the standards are pretty high as the average goes, right? There are some isolated instances where some of the stuff is not as good as it used to be too, but for the majority, everything is better than it was as a broader stroke, so to speak. Let's see. All right, what else? What next subject you guys want to talk about? Chris is saying, on the same note, he's saying it's the golden age of gear, which I've heard that term before, obviously. 2 Yards said DiMarzio reopened their doors today, so Super Distortions are available again. Yeah, it's really important. I love the fact. The two things I want to shout out right now. Good timing. I'm happy to see the DiMarzio's back open. Those guys have been shut down for a long time because of the COVID thing. They were, those guys really been working hard. Larry DiMarzio, especially, and Wilson and all the guys I know, DiMarzio, hardest working guys, great guys, and I'm glad to see they're back open. The other thing I want to talk about is I want to say that I'm happy to report that if you didn't, that Robert Keeley had his operation yesterday, and he has gotten out of his operation. He had a bypass operation, and he seems to be doing fine, according to what I understand. So if you guys, those of you who are concerned about Robert or knew about that, now you know. Robert Keeley is probably one of the funnest guys I've ever talked to in the industry. He's just an amazing. Every conversation with him has been some of the most enjoyable conversations I've ever had. And I'm glad to hear that he's okay. So those of you guys who were putting your prayers and thoughts with him, I just want to let you know that from what I understand, he's doing okay. And so there's that. Let's go ahead and move around and take a look at what else you guys are talking about. All right, we got David. David says, Phil, ever come across a single string that won't intonate correctly? Oh, okay. Saddle on my G string is backed all the way to the back of the bridge, and it's still nowhere it needs to be. Nut looks good. This is a very common issue with guitars that I see, where basically what happens is you're intonating the guitar, and basically when you set the intonation, when you go back, right, when you're going backwards or going forwards, what's happening is you're waiting for, let's just keep it easy, right? So let's say if we're going backwards, in other words, we're tightening the thing, you're setting it, basically, it's so hard to do without a visual aid. I feel like I need a visual aid. I'm just going to keep it easy because I don't have the visual aids. What I want to basically say is that you're following the plan. I have a video on how to intonate. It's a very basic video, but in that video I warn you of what's exactly happening to David, which is you've passed it, buddy. Here's what happens. Let's say you're chasing a string, right? Let's say the G string, and it's sharp, and you're going to keep going, and it's sharp, and it's getting sharper and sharper and sharper, and you're like waiting for it to finally to go the other way, and it doesn't. You get to, like you said, it gets to the back of the saddle, or it goes to the forward, all the way forward, and you're at the end of it, and you're like, wait a minute, but it's still sharp. What happens is you passed it. Trust me. Okay. So the technique that I like, the one I use, is what I do at that point is I stop. Okay. I go ahead and I just measure this, whatever the scale of the guitar is. So if your guitar is 25.5 inches, just measure the saddle from the nut, 25.5 inches, put the saddle back to that exact measurement, and then start again from there. And move slow. Remember, micro adjustments do lots, okay? I think it's an optical illusion. You see these bridges with all these saddles like zigzag, right? Don't think like that, okay? Don't, there's more in play because there's the angle of the saddle. There's all kinds of things. I want you to picture in your head, and David, hopefully this helps. Picture in your head the saddle of an acoustic guitar, right? Yeah, everybody's seen that, right? It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and then there's just a micro little cut forward and a micro little cut backward. Those micro movements, think in those movements. Like the difference between flat and sharp is this, right? Not this, it's this. So, you go too far and you're like, wait a minute, but I got to keep going. Don't. Just go back to center, measure it out, start over again. That has worked for me over the past. That's what has kept me sane. Because I deal with that one a lot. Somebody will bring in their guitar. The saddles are all the way back to the bridge. And they're like, they put the bridge in the wrong spot. That does happen sometimes. Usually, though, a bridge in the wrong spot, besides just being an amateur builder doing that, usually if, the only time I've seen where they put the bridge in the wrong spot, notoriously, is with 3/4 guitars. Sometimes the bridge is definitely in the wrong spot. Companies that make 3/4 guitars drive me nuts because they'll put the bridge aesthetically where it's pleasing sometimes. This is my theory because I don't know why they picked that spot. A lot of times 3/4 guitars should look weird. Like a 3/4 Strat should look like a Strat, but then the bridge should be almost jacked like a bass all the way to the back of the body. In my personal opinion. But anyways, that's what I would do. That's how I would adjust that. Just like I said, go back to measure it out, start again, and then move in micro movements, and you'll be fine. So I hope that helps a little bit. Then we have another question. This next question is from, who's it from? I don't know who. I'm just going to read... I'm going to read Grumpy Mike Guitars because this is funny. He says, speed knobs or top hats, dang it. Speed knobs or top hats, which has better tone? Well, top hats make you play more like Slash, and speed knobs make you play more like Yngwie Malmsteen. I don't know if you know that. It's absolutely true. It's an actual fact that I've found to be 100% true. So it depends if you want top hat tone like Slash or speed tone like Yngwie. And that's how you figure that out. Yeah, Tito says, I learned the hard way. The tape measure did the trick. It does. There, you know what I mean? Like I said, here's what I can tell you. This is a really hard thing to say because it's not 100% accurate, right? But it's going to be accurate in so many cases. I feel confident saying it. If you were to take a basic guitar, a Les Paul Strat style guitars behind me, and whatever the scale length is, and just set all the saddles flat to that scale, like in other words, measure from the inside of the nut to the saddle, the edge of the saddle, the string touches the saddle, measure, let's say on a Strat 25-inch scale across all of them, make your bridges flat. Your guitar would be out of intonation, but it would be so close to still being able to play. Like, in other words, good enough for rock and roll. I wouldn't suggest you do that by any means. But what I'm saying is, it would be a little flat here and a little sharp there on some of the notes, but it would be not horrible. Right? And some of you, here's what I find by that. It's going to be the end user that determines that. So that's why I said it's a controversial thing the way I'm saying it, because some pro-level musicians would be like, oh, God, it would drive me nuts. But an average person in the audience may not be able to hear that much of a difference in the intonation unless you're some of the chords you're doing. And also keep in mind, intonation is also decided by those exact same things, right? Sometimes, you can get away with murder. For all of us who have broke a string on stage and had to do some funny tricks to get the chords to sound right until you can get to another guitar. All right, so let me drink some water again. Okay, and then Yngwie does have speed fingers. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little strange. I have 3 things to share with you guys. The first one is from my buddy Justin Mabe, and he sent this to me a while back. I opened it already. I just want to share it with you. It was something that I thought was fun, and I said I would do it, and then the show got, wacky, and I couldn't share it. I'm going to share. I'm empty the contents. He sent this like a care package to me. He sent me some Midnight Brights. I want to share this with you because I want to try the strings, and these are Midnight Bright 10s, custom 10s. I've never tried these, so I'm curious, and of course I didn't want to try them until I showed them with you guys. He also sent me some of these. These are these clips. They look like they're hair clips for my hair, so you guys know I need those. No, I'm just kidding. They're not hair clips. These are clips. I think they're called Jimmy clips. I'm trying to see the name. They're called Jimmy clips. These are Jimmy clips. And these are basically hair things. But they got a little foam rubber, and they clip them on the strings, and it's to mute your strings after the nut. Now, I use wedgies. Somebody asked me this week when I did my Tele pickup video, there was a wedgie on the headstock, and they're like, what is that? I put a link in that description. It's called a wedgie. It's a pick holder. And I only need to mute my G and D string on most of my guitars. So very cool. He sent that. But the other thing he sent that was I was really excited about was he sent some cool Air Force stuff some Air Force patches. Here's one, right? This is the Black Widows, 421st Fighter Squadron. Very cool. And it's got the Velcro on the back. I actually have, from my Army days, my jacket where I can do stuff. Oh, look at that. I'm doing that into this shirt. There you go. And then he sent me, this is actually what I was most excited about, and hopefully Justin's watching today, because he sent me this cool die-cast A10. And I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, Davis Monthan Air Force Base. I've seen thousands of these fly over my head every day. So very cool. Very, very cool. This is my favorite plane, by the way, the A-10. Not just because I grew up next to Davis Monthan Air Force Base, but you know, it's just an amazing fighter craft. And then he sent. I don't want to. He sent another one. Ta-da! Look at that. Is that an F-29? Does it say? It's a F-35. F-35. Why did I say F-29? So F-35. What I like about it is it really messes my head. See how you can see the tails? And then it's flat. That actually is really, really cool. And then he sent me, and I want to share a couple of these with you too as well. Oh, he sent me another one. He sent me a bunch of these. I'm like I said, this has been really cool, Justin. I hope you guys don't mind me taking a few minutes to share this stuff with you guys. I know on the podcast it's going to be like, I don't know what he's pointing out. This is an F-16. So, very cool. And then he sent me some coins. And so those of you guys familiar with these in the military. Ta-da. Look at that. That's the Black Widows. And what's really cool about these is that's a C-1. This one's got a C-130 on it. The Hercules. And then this is the Raptor. And a couple more. I mean, he really went all out, man. It was great. Whoops. And I dropped one. Sorry, buddy. He really went all out. So for those of you that know what these are really cool. Especially since they're from the Air Force. Like I said, I'd never seen stuff from the Air Force ones, you know, right? I've seen Army stuff like this and collected it, but not the Air Force stuff. So thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. It was a nice little gift him and his wife sent me. I want to thank him for that. There's Hinch Music 58 says the Warthog. Yes, the A-10 Warthog. It's a mean mamma jamma if you've ever seen one in action. But I thought I'd share with that. And then I'll knock this one out too. There's another card. This one I just got, and this one was fun. It's got kitties on it. And glitter. And this is from Brad. And so Brad sent me this card, and he said, just a little something. I'm just going to briefly read it. It says, it's a late birthday card. Thank you. And he says, just a little something for your shop. You'll hear why that matters in a minute. Wondered why fret rockers had such a sharp points and asked you. And I think the answer was, there is no answer. After I dropped one on my guitar, he made one of these. So what he did is he made this out of aluminum. This is a fret rocker, and it's got rounded edges. And it feels pretty smooth. This is the important part, is that smooth. And so, you know, I agree. I've never understood two things. One, I have a bunch of fret rockers. Most of mine are the Stumac ones, which are very good. I like them. Don't get me wrong. However, I like to carry one that's plastic. I have one that's a plastic. And the plastic ones, it's hard to get them flat. But I like that they're light and you can't hurt your guitar with this. This one's very light, too, as well. And I like that it has rounded edges. This is really cool. And I'm sure if you made these, a lot of people would buy these. I'd buy this. So, and this is his foot graphic, which I think he explained, if I recall. He says, the logo is my pedal to the metal logo. Pedal to the metal brand. Pedal to the metal. Look at that. So, very, very cool. I just want to share that with you. And then we'll wait a few minutes. And then Nathan, as you guys know, Nathan, my buddy Nathan, who works at PRS, sent me a card and a guitar, and he told me I'm not allowed to see it unless I open it on the live show. So I'll get there. I'm getting there. Okay. Brent said, thanks to Justin for raising the bar high on competing for Phil's affection. Well, you know what, guys? Like I said, I really appreciate him doing this. It was really fun. And I, like I said, I appreciate all this stuff. This is always fun to see this kind of stuff. I never know if it's fun for you guys during the live show when I read or watch this stuff or show this stuff with you guys, but I want to share with you guys sometimes because it's been some really cool stuff and it's always fun. Okay, but we got to get back to some guitar stuff. We'll keep the guitar for another 10 minutes and then get back into. You guys are really going crazy over the A10s. I was going to call the A10 a fighter plane. That's not really accurate. Some Air Force guys would get upset. Air Force guys don't like it when you mess that up stuff. The A10's an attack plane, if you guys know the difference, and then like an F-16 is a fighter plane. I once made a tank driver. Literally, he turned purple. I've never seen anyone so angry. And if you know anything, if you're in the Army, you're around tank guys, tank drivers, there are very short, angry people. And but they are the men of men. I mean, their job is nuts. You couldn't. I always got claustrophobic. It went nuts. I've never felt claustrophobic in my life until I tried to get into an A1 tank. But anyways, how I made a tank driver go absolutely lose his mind is obviously I've told you guys this. I worked in the motor pool, and one day I don't know what possessed me to say this or do this. I wasn't thinking. It happens, as you sometimes are when you're working. He asked me a question in passing, and I said, yeah, it's next to that tank over there. And I pointed to a Bradley fighting vehicle, and I don't remember exactly what he said. A lot of cursing that I can't say here, screaming. He was like Yosemite Sam. That's what I remember. He was jumping, and I remember him saying, don't call that aluminum piece of S word a tank, and he screamed at me, and yeah. So like I said, it's a funny thing for those of you guys who weren't in the service, and then some of you guys in the service are going to have flashbacks, and women in the service having flashbacks too. Yes, the military is very about saying the thing the way you're supposed to say it. So yes, an A-10 is an attack plane. I don't need emails later from the Air Force guys being like, please don't call the A-10 a fighter plane. Not a tank. Yes. All right, we got to get back to guitar stuff because it's a guitar channel. So let's hit some questions. And the next question, the next subject we'll talk about is this is from David. And David says, torn between JJjr and the Runt 20, want versatility and able to handle pedals. With that in mind, which one is better than the other? The JJjr is, to me, is far better. Let me explain why. They're based on the same platform. They're basically the same amplifier, okay? To me, in my opinion, the JJjr is, I think it's $200 more. So for $200 more, here's what I think you get. You get what I think is a better looking version of the two. I think it just looks a little cooler in the two. But if that's not, if you don't believe or you don't think that, then it doesn't matter. But I think that. The cleans are identical on both amps. They're identical. So they're going to be the same. You're not going to get one thing or the other. My understanding is they didn't voice the JJjr's clean any differently than the Runt. So it's the same. The clean or the dirty on the JJjr, I feel gets more hairy and more saturated than the Runt, but also with that switch and a little bit of finesse, it gets the Runt tone. So it's the Runt. It's just the Runt but on that same note, you could get the Runt and just add, like, let me put it this way. You could get a Runt if you have a BOD pedal and run that through the clean channel and Runt, and I think you'd be in the JJ territory, no problem. So, but think about this. That pedal's $200. So there you go, if you don't have that pedal. But I would prefer the JJ to the Runt, which I did. Because when I did the shoot up between the two, I decided to keep the JJ over the Runt, and then I decided I liked the Dirty Shirley more than the JJ. And the only reason is because I liked the plexier, raw, kind of crunch distortion over the more angry Marshall kind of distortion. I feel like I just made up all those words that didn't make any sense right now, but I hope you guys know what I mean by that. It's like different vibed Marshalls is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then also, I should probably do this too. This is a good timing. I always like to grab the first questions of the day. And again, today's episode got all jacked up with the live feed. It says, first, this one's from Jay. Jay says, hey, Phil, any ideas why my Strat position 2 and 4 tone is now muddy after an aftermarket pickup install? Okay. Had the pickups in a different guitar and now they sound and they sounded great. Okay, so basically what he's saying is he had these pickups in another guitar. They sounded great. He's put them in a Strat, and now in 2 and 4 they are muddy. And so there could be, I'd have to know a lot of variables. Okay, so obviously you're not mentioning that you're using the tone controls, which could be different. But one of the things in 2 and 4 is what's really happening is, because you're saying Strat position, I'm assuming you're having a 3-coil Strat guitar. That's what I'm assuming. You have 3 single coils in your Strat position. So obviously, just a guess, my guess is that the middle pickup is the culprit, because in 2 and 4 you're adding that middle pickup to those pickups, and that's where you're having a problem. So a couple things I would do. First of all, I would check to make sure that you don't have a tone control that's wired incorrectly or weird, and the tone is backed off on the middle position, right? And again, this could be wrong because I hate it because he didn't say 3 single coils. He said Strat position. So it could be he has 2 humbuckers, and this is all not making any sense. But my guess is based on what he's told me, sounds to me like the middle pickup is the issue, either in the fact that it's maybe not reverse wound like it's supposed to. There might be a phase cancellation issue, a phase issue, out of phase kind of issue, in phase issue, depending on how that is. That's where usually it gets a little wonky, a little weird. So that seems to be what I would focus on that middle pickup and see what's going on. There's a couple things you can do with that pickup. First, check that pickup in the middle and make sure it's fine. The other thing you can definitely do is you can just swap the ground and the hot on the middle pickup and see if that fixes those. So maybe this is real common all the time when you wire in a pickup. Sometimes, like let's say you put in a Seymour Duncan, or I just had it with a DiMarzio. Put a DiMarzio in the bridge position, and it's fine, but when I went to position 2, it's out of phase and kind of sounds weird and nasal. So I just flipped the wires because it was running to make it more in line with the other 2 pickups. It's the best, easiest way to put that. Andre says, "Hey Phil, any tips on how?" And this is again before the show started. These are the guys that put questions. Says, "Hey Phil, any tips on how to make the tuners in the guitar feel the same when they seem loose and some seem stiff?" Yes, sure. So I have a tuner right here. So let me explain it to you. Hopefully this makes sense. Most the anatomy of tuning keys are going to be the same. This is a go-to locking key. What I want you to pay attention to is this actual turning mechanism right here that I'm showing you. And what the component should be is there should be on the end of this, and I don't think this camera will focus, but trust me on that, there is a screw. This is a Phillips head. Phillips head screws. Most of the time they're flat head screw, but mine's a Phillips head screw. So you have a screw right there, and then between this tuning peg, this key right here, and the shaft, you'll have 2 rings. One is white, okay, so that's the white ring. That is made of nylon, so it's like basically like, so it's lubricated. That's basically what that is, with plastic. And underneath that, you're going to have a metal ring. Okay, so what happens is as you tighten that screw, it's going to compress this down. It's going to tighten this key down and press against that nylon ring and make it real stiff and hard. And it doesn't change anything, okay? It doesn't change the way that the key works. It tunes. It only changes physically how this feels when you turn it, okay? And now, if you loosen this key, it'll get real loose. Right? And again, it won't change anything. It's just a physical attribute. Sometimes players like to lock these down real tight and because you tune up your guitar and that way you feel like you won't bump them as easy. Maybe that's true. I don't know. You got to bump your tuning keys a lot. But that's probably what you're dealing with. The only exception to that rule is sometimes if you have cheap tuning keys, the gears in them are junk and they've been stripped a little bit and the gear is inside. That's what you're getting loose, is the gear is actually slipping. Okay, no different in your differential. When it's worn out and slipping in your car and you feel a little, the jerking and stuff. Kind of thing. So that's what I would do first. That's the easiest thing, is tighten those things down or make sure they're all equally the same. So loosen them all to whatever one you like or tighten them all to whatever you like. But that's how you do it. The only exception would be if you have Kluson style keys. And if you get your keys and they're plastic and they have no screw on the top, then they're just junky keys. That happens too. All right. Let's see. Yeah, and then First Last says, don't go crazy because cheap tuners will break the threaded he says shift, but I shaft easily. Yes, of course. Yeah. Don't. Well, that should be the case with everything on a guitar. Remember, everything on the guitar, just assume it's delicate when you're adjusting it. Not because it's brittle, and just because everything does a lot more than you think. So everything's just small movements. Okay. All right, hold on. I'm just looking through the comments real quick. Let me go back. I know I got some super chats to hit real quick. Okay, Matt Wells said, hey, Phil, love Fender cleans, but prefer Marshall Overdrive Crunch tone. Can you recommend an amp that will give me as close to the combo as possible without having to use pedals? I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's really like everybody says that, right? Everybody wants like the ultimate Fender clean and the Marshall heavy. And I think everything gets close. I mean, in Marshall world, I think the closest thing that gets you to the really good cleans and the really good Marshall distortions, like the JVM, that does that kind of thing. But I mean, the Marshall, see when somebody says the Marshall distortion, there's difference between like the British like crunch distortion, heavy distortion, and the Marshall's got a Marshall tone to it. I think my Archon does that. I think it gives me the best clean there is, and it gives me a very British Marshall distortion. And some people freak out when I say that because they're like, but I don't run the Archon with tons of gain. I'll run the gain backed off and drive the amp. That's why I have the 50 watt, or not the 100 watt, so I can put it in 25 watt mode and crank it. That's the amp that gets me the closest. That's why I have that amp, and that's why I like it. I have the twin sister behind me. I'm still messing with it. I did the video and I'm just tweaking a few things, but it does clean, but I don't know if I could say the Fender clean. But yeah, I will tell you this. It depends on what you use more. That's what you really have to focus on. That's one of the things that I think about. Do I use clean more or distortion more? If you use clean more, I focus on getting a good clean amp, and then you can run a pedal on that, and I think you'll be happy. If you use distortion more, then you want to worry about getting a good distorted amp or an overdriven amp, and then make the clean a secondary priority. So, and then Nathan said, I'm here to let you know that I'm here while you open the package. All right. I'm going to knock this out. So Nathan sent this. I just unboxed it this morning. I didn't open it. I don't know what's in the case. I know that he's been real gung-ho on this. This has been a big thing. He's been communicating with my wife. And he just gave me a card that says, you rock. I don't handle opening stuff like this really well. So this has been a lot in one day. Oh my God, Nathan, you wrote a book, man. I love you, brother, but geez. Okay, I don't know if I could read all of this, although I want to, but it's a lot. It says, Phil, thank you for everything you've done for me over the years. I really appreciate it. I should have thought about the lighting in this room. I didn't know I was going to be reading. And our friendship, and I wanted to do something in return for you. This is a 2001 custom 24 hardtail that myself and a bunch of friends at PRS sharpened. Oh, okay. Like all right. It says, I got a funny story for you, Nathan, because I'm going to tell you what I thought this was. Okay. So a complete overhaul from top to bottom, including refinish and all new hardware, electronics. Over the course of almost 2 years, we worked at this gift for you. We hope you like it, and thank you again for all your friendship. And it says, read spec. He's got instructions. I love this. It says read specs after opening the case. He told me, it's funny, I texted him yesterday. I said, maybe yesterday, I said, I can't open this until Friday. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, you can take it out of the box. And I told my wife, if I take it out of the box, I'm going to look in the case. So I literally had to take it out of the box like 15 minutes before the show started and put it here. So, okay. So we're going to see this together. Oh my God. Like, I don't even want to show this, what I'm showing you guys. Look, it's the back. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God. That is the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Jesus, that's awesome. That is, I mean, look at that headstock. And the neck's natural. And there's stuff written on the back. Okay, I gotta look in the light. It says KYG sharpened my axe, Phillip McKnight. Hey, that's my name. That is crazy. I don't know what to say. I feel like I need to stop recording. I'm just in shock. I mean, I just want to keep sharing that with you guys. I hope this is coming across the way it looks. This thing is gorgeous. It is beautiful, and it's light. I don't want to put it down. Oh my! It's not in tune, but it's close. It's close. I didn't think it'd be in tune, but where it goes. Look at that, and he put the switch. Okay, so you guys know this is where I like the switch. So this is crazy. Okay, let me read the rest of the card. And then I'm going to tell you guys what I thought it was. Okay, so excuse me. I need water. I'm choked up. I mean, I'm really choked up. Okay, specifications. Dusty Waring, not warning, Waring. Dusty Waring 52 tuners. Metal bridge, which is my favorite bridge pickup from PRS. 57 neck, my favorite neck pickup. 57 or 59 sometimes, but usually 57. So literally, but see, Nathan, I guess, well, he knows I like this stuff, but new adjustable wraparound bridge, which is my favorite. It says Saunier, which is Nathan's last name, Saunier McCarting switching system. Polyacrylic body and face a headstock. Satin nitro wide thin neck. Wow. Sandstorm fade. That's the color? Sandstorm. Can I show you this? Sandstorm fade with charcoal something. It's not you, Nathan. It's like I'm old and like literally all the lighting, so you guys know, is behind me. See, if I go here, the lighting pops up so I can see it. It says, okay, sandstorm fade with charcoal. I don't know what that, maybe it is your writing. I can't read that word. But it says body, matching headstock veneer added. And then I think it's Armando's Amethyst. Red cover made from... Oh, crap. Okay, this is cool. This truss rod cover is made from pieces of his employee guitar that he had made. That he gave me a piece. I still have the piece you sent to me. He sent me a piece of his employee guitar. And then it says guitar color matched. Black headstock logo. I didn't even notice that until just now. That it's not gold like it normally is. And then logo signature. And then abalone birds. This is... I mean, I don't know what to say. I literally want to stop just because I don't know what to say. So I want to thank him. Thank you, Nathan, and everyone who worked on this guitar. I got to tell you, I was afraid. I'll be honest. I've been afraid for it. Showed up, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday. I've been nervous ever since. I don't open presents. It's a weird thing. I'll probably share with you guys the story just because I haven't opened a present with wrapping. And actually, I don't want to say this anymore because I think I just did. I opened a present in the last year, but that was the first wrapping present I'd opened since I was 12 years old. It's no bad stories. Okay. When I was apparently a baby, my mother wanted a dishwasher. I got to share the story because it's important, because otherwise I always feel like I'm very self-conscious when I open gifts. When I was a baby, my mother wanted a dishwasher, and my father promised her a dishwasher. And so what happened was, before Christmas, there was this giant dishwasher box at the tree, and apparently every day my mom, while she was cleaning the house, washing dishes, she was like, she kept begging my dad to open the dishwasher, and he wouldn't let her do it. And then Christmas morning, she went to open it, and it wasn't a dishwasher, it was a camcorder. Now, this is back in the days where you bought your video recorder from a video store and your dishwasher from the appliance store. So it's not like now where you just go and exchange it. There was no exchange. She was stuck with this camcorder that she didn't want. And my mom really did not like to do dishes, apparently. This is what I take from this story, because my mom refused to let anyone ever buy her a wrapped present again. She was so we did as little kids wrap presents, but over time, my mom would tell that story so much that we just stopped doing presents. So I always feel weird because I never know how to handle unknown gifts. So I thought I'd share this silly story. But the funny part of the story, hopefully this is for Nathan. Nathan, what I thought you were sending me was Nathan had some in-store credit with a local store that went out of business here in town, and they owed him some money. And time went by after the store closed, and we were talking, and I said, well, why don't you just, instead of asking for the money, why don't you see if he's got anything left over from when he closed the store? And he had this really weird guitar. Let's just say that. And so, anyways, this guitar, Nathan asked me to go pick it up for him. So I went and picked it up for him. And then my wife boxed it and shipped it to him. So when he was telling my wife that he has a guitar and it's a Sharp Max, she's like, yeah, he's got a guitar for you. And the guitar showed up and she's like, I don't know what it is. And I said, I think it's that weird guitar he got. Maybe he fixed it up. So I was thinking that this whole time it was going to be that guitar fixed up. I still do not know how to process this. And I hope, you know what, at this point, I kind of almost don't care that if it ruins the live show today. I hope you guys are enjoying this too. I'm going to show you one more time. I got to tell you, the guitar is gorgeous. It feels great. Literally, Nathan knows that I love this neck carve. He knows I love the natural back neck. I will tell you this. I love this more than any private stock I've ever seen. I could not be more honest about telling you how much I love this color. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And what's crazy about it is this is a color I've never really thought about or thought I wanted or anything like that. As soon as I saw it, as soon as I opened the case, I just remember just a second ago just thinking, like, this is gorgeous. So I don't know how to stay focused with this, but I'm going to set it there. But Nathan, guys, again, thank you. Woo. Yeah. I don't know how to. Yeah, String says, I'm surprised there isn't a few tears getting that. You know what? I kind of feel. Well, I can tell you right now, literally my throat keeps drying up, and I know it's because I'm. Excuse my slurping. I'm just literally just handling it. I'm very humbled and thank you. I swear I don't know what else to say. So, I just want to, sorry, on a side note, somebody put, did your parents trade you for a dishwasher? No. Anyways, thank you again, Nathan. I'll call you after the show to give you, just to tell you thank you and stuff. And yeah, wow. This has been like, I feel like it's like a show and tell show. It's like, hey, look at all this cool stuff I got. I feel horrible now. Like, I feel great, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, thank you guys. I hope you guys love it. I'll take some pictures and post it on Instagram immediately after this. And then Seriously says, take a break and play it. Man, I'm going to do a full review. You'll get a video by tomorrow. And a lot of, I remember reading a couple comments. The finish rocks. I know it is gorgeous. Just absolutely gorgeous. I know some of you guys are saying plug in and play it. I literally have no way to plug it in and play it. Like that amp behind me is not hooked up right now. And the way I have my show set up right now, I don't know if you guys do live streaming, but if you're going to do audio like that, you have to, I forgot what you have to turn off, but I have to turn off at the beginning of the stream the thing that compresses it. Otherwise, that's what makes it sound wavy. You ever notice when somebody plays music while they're live show and there's this wavy, garbly kind of sound? It's a compression thing that you have to, that's on. You have to turn it off if you're going to try to do live playing, at least with the OBS. Excuse me, at least with the OBS software that I use. So I just got to show you one more time. I can't believe this. I feel like I didn't share this back of the headstock. This is what look at that. KYG, Sharpen My Axe, Phil McKnight. So what's funny is I'll never be able to do a Sharpen My Axe episode as good as this. Talk about setting a bar beyond what maybe I don't know, maybe it'll make me want to do more of those and up my game. So I'm not old, I'm vintage, said Nathan. That finish is amazing. I agree, guys. Please make sure, give him the accolades he deserves. 94 Dodge Dude said, can we check the super chats? Yeah, let's check the super chats. Let's get focused. This is a live show. We got. It's not all about cool guitars for me, although that would be a cool show. If you guys are interested, I'd love to do a show where every week I get a cool new guitar. Actually, no, I wouldn't be interested in that particular show. It would lose its fun fast, but still be cool. Okay. Okay, let me go through. We're gonna knock out some of these super chats. I appreciate you guys all been waiting stuff. All right. It says Syndicate says, "Hey Phil, can't decide between a Fender Player Series Strat or the Performer Strat. Unfortunately, I can't get my hands on the Performer to compare." To me, okay, all you guys out there may not know what he's talking about. There's the Player Series that's made in Mexico by Fender. That's a current series of Strats, and then there's the Performer, which are the American-made Strats, but more stripped down than the American Professional Series, and then of course American Professional Series. Now, so you know, Fender has told me this, so I feel pretty confident in this information as a dealer, as they told me this, that the Performer Series doesn't cost much less to manufacture than the Professional Series. It's just, they wanted to hit price points, so they came up with that price point. So in my opinion, as much as I love the Player Series, it's like let me Syndicate, let me frame your question in a way I hope that makes sense to you. If you said, Phil, should I get a Player Series? I'm thinking about getting one. Are they good? Absolutely. They're great. You'll love it. Go. Phil, should I get a Performance Series? Is it a good guitar? Absolutely. You'll love it. Go. Now the question of yours saying, which one should you get? I think you should get the Performance Series. I think you won't regret buying an American-made guitar over the made Mexico one. I'm not saying you need the one over a Mexico one. I'm not saying it's even better. I'm saying you won't regret it. The reason why is because one thing I've loved about the Performer Series, which then before the Performer Series was the, what did they call Performer before? It was originally Highway Series, right? They were satin finish guitars. And then Highway turned into American something. What was it? Some of you guys will put it in the comments. I forget. But for those of you guys can remember, apparently. I couldn't remember it. Yeah, somebody says, breathe, Phil. Yeah, I'm still a little taken aback by the gift thing. So please bear with me. But anyways, my point is that those guitars hold value very well, and they're really cool. I like them a lot. They have good pickups in them. Sean Brooks makes up a good point. He says, don't get the Performer. It has the ugly headstock. It has the 70s headstock, which is in my opinion, is the Jimi Hendrix headstock, or the Yngwie headstock. It's the bigger one. So that being said, yeah, if you hate that headstock, don't get it. I used to hate that headstock. I think it's because for me, being like I don't want to say an 80s kid, but I'm like an 80s kid, right? Versus a 70s kid in that theory of music, right? The 70s was so like big what do they call those stupid collars? Butterfly collars and big headstocks on Fenders, and it wasn't my thing. But over time, you start to appreciate that stuff, and so I've learned to appreciate it and love it. So I like that headstock. It's just different. So again, if that's a reason to not like it, that's an aesthetic thing. But otherwise, I would personally buy the Performer. You won't regret it. Okay, Clinton Beck says, first time I was able to catch the live stream, your content got me into modifying and repairing my own, and now others' guitars have a beer on me. Thank you, buddy. I would appreciate that. I love hearing that. I love hearing I was talking to Matt at Texas Toast today, and I told him this. My goal on this channel from day one has been to hopefully inspire, I know that sounds cheesy to say it like this, but inspire someone who wasn't really thinking about fixing their guitar to start fixing their guitar. And the biggest compliment sometimes I can get is then you outgrow what I'm doing here, right? And go to like the guitar builder channels and then go and see what they're doing, right? I learned real fast. I learned this when I talked to the StewMac guys. The StewMac guys actually probably detected it before I even figured it out. That's how my relationship with StewMac started. They were the first ones to approach me and talk to me about the fact that they noticed a weird trend on my channel that they hadn't seen on a lot of channels on YouTube. Yes, you wake up today and you're like, I want to learn how to build guitars, and then you seek out somebody on YouTube who teaches you that and you learn it. And what they were saying about me, and I've learned to lean into this, is a lot of my channel hits you secretly. In other words, today wasn't the day. You weren't thinking about fixing your own guitar. You were just going to watch me review a guitar, and then I said something and did something, and you're thinking, oh, well, why am I paying somebody to do that? And believe it or not, because I repair guitars, my wholehearted hope is that when I'm doing easy repairs, again, and this is exactly what I was talking to Matt today about. When I'm doing easy repairs, sometimes I think, oh man, I wish somebody wasn't paying me to do this. I wish they would do it. You know what I mean? Not because I don't want to make the money, but you know what I mean? It's like I wish somebody could, do this themselves. So I love the idea that now I'm get to teach people a couple things. So I love hearing that is basically what I'm trying to say. David says, hold on. Oh, we did David's. I'm sorry. T-Jet 612 says, favorite mini humbucker for the Telly, 59, hot rail, etc. My favorite mini humbucker right now is the DiMarzio mini humbucker that I just did in that video. I put a link to it in the video, the best Telly pickup. That's my favorite mini humbucker right now. But I think you're talking about like the mini, like single coil, and it's the Chopper by DiMarzio. Now, so you know, I'm a Seymour Duncan fan. I've been playing Seymour Duncans probably more than I've been playing DiMarzio's over the years, but there's certain pickups I like for certain things. Like I like the 59, I like the Pearly Gates mini humbuckers by Seymour Duncan. In fact, most of my videos have Seymour Duncan pickups in them. But I've learned to really love the Chopper lately, and I don't know why. There's something about it that it just sounds a little beefier, a little fuller to me. And it's probably because I'm doing so many pickup comparisons now. I'm learning who kind of masters what better. In my opinion, I think for some reason I feel DiMarzio has mastered the mini humbucker better than Seymour. But what Seymour Duncan did is he made it look not so 80s looking. And I think that's what it is for me. As I look at the dual blade DiMarzio and I go, oh man, that's so 80s. I don't want an 80s sound. I want a full, I want the 50s tone or whatever, right? I want the blues tone. And so I get the little 59, I get the little Pearly Gates, which are good, the little juniors, and they sound good. And then I put the Chopper in and I'm like, and I go, yeah, this is the right pickup, but it doesn't look right. And I've learned, you know what? It's dumb. Joe Barden makes great pickups, their blades too. I use my ears, and I'm with pickups lately. With all the pickups I've been doing with the Somnium guitar. Here's my best advice for pickups I could ever give you. Stop using your eyes for pickups. Use your ears. I understand why using your eyes is part of it. The guitar looks cool, so therefore it sounds cool is a factor. But when it comes to pickups, it's just your ears. Just use your ears. Because believe it or not, there's some science behind pickups that makes certain pickups sound really good, but they don't look cool. Okay. Bill Spruce says, excited. 1 hour ago, took delivery of an Eastman SB59 Gold Top. The workmanship is impeccable. I'm blown away by this product of shop in Beijing. I have to tell you, I did the video, 10 issues I have with US-made guitars and 10 issues with import guitars. And I did that to activate and hopefully excite a conversation that I hope happens, which is exactly what Bill is saying, is that I think, of course, I'm an American citizen. I live in America. I want American guitars. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, most of the guitars behind me are made in America. I buy American guitars when I can. For a ton of reasons. I mean, I like Japanese guitars and Korean guitars. I like all the guitars. Let's just say that. I like all guitars. But here's what I tell you. I believe this. I believe that China, Indonesia, Korea, you name it, make exactly what they're told to make. And so as American companies have ordered guitars to be less, I don't want to say inferior, but they basically are inferior. They order them. So in other words, when Gibson and Fender order an import guitar, they never order it to be as good or better than their American counterpart. It's a loaded deck. They make it not as good. Now, don't get me wrong, we've seen it. They've slowly getting better and better, and we're like, oh, they're getting better at building guitars. But then when you talk to those manufacturers overseas, you find out, no, they were always good at making guitars. They just make whatever they're told to. And here's what's interesting in that argument. And so again, when you hear companies like Eastman, companies who are Chinese-based companies, and they're in control of their quality control and not, in other words, not ghost building it for somebody else who set the standards, all of a sudden you start seeing a way different guitar that's a way superior than what you think that they're able to produce. And like I said, I think the guitar industry, and I think a lot of us think this, is going to end up like the car industry. You know what I mean? Where basically the import market, I mean, screw the truck industry, right? Because the truck industry is definitely a loaded deck. If you're in your trucks, you know that it's dominated by the American market, but mostly because the American companies dominate it in every way. Not because of the quality, but because of the way it's a loaded deck. In the car industry, the import cars have been winning. And I think it's not that I want import guitars to do well or our American-made guitars to do well. I want the best guitar for the best money. That's what I want. And I want the competition to exist. I want there to be a competition. So, and the reason I say that again, yeah, right? See, Nicholas is saying Shiji and Eastman are amazing guitars. I'm telling you, the Shiji and Eastman guitars that I've played are exactly as good as anything else I've played, double the price. So, you know, and if you don't want to buy, I see the comments all the time. I don't want to buy guitars made in China. Don't. You don't have to. That's what's great about a consumer market. You can consume how you feel, you know, spend what you want. But that doesn't change the fact that if you don't want to buy an import guitar, I think you should be advocating, like I am, to the American manufacturers to pay attention, because I think that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? They're going to get passed by. So there you go. There you go. And sometimes I always hate this subject because I'm such a guitar fanatic. I almost don't care where, you know, I just like all guitars. I don't care where they're made. But that's my fanatic level. Then the rest of me has some opinions too. Christopher Bay says, as long as you don't beer with it. As long as you don't beer with it. I think he means as long as I don't buy beer with it. I'm drinking water. I've actually been good. I told you guys I've been off the COVID diet now for 3 weeks. I'm not losing any more weight. It's kind of sucking. But I lost my initial 10 pounds, and I'm still on my way. Haven't made any missteps in the last 3 weeks. I've been good. My biggest problem right now is I'm very sedentary. I'm just not getting a lot of exercise because I'm working so much. I work in a standing, sitting, stand, look at guitars, work, sit on the phone and look at the computer, make video content sitting down. It's just not, you know. So anyways, it sounds like excuses because it is. Let's see. Thunder Falcon says, over 1,100 watching. Do you think we love you? You know what? I hope it's, I'm flattered by that statement. I hope you love this coming and hanging out every Friday. That's what I love. Like I said. And then High Seas, I'm like I said, I'm not afraid of controversy, so we're gonna hit it. It says High Seas Marine Diaz. Man, what a name. High Seas Marine Diaz says, after this whole COVID thing, I'm done with China and their communist ways. I'm not buying Chinese goods unless I've got no choice. Now, I try not to be political on the channel, obviously, not because of a political correctness to want to not offend people. It's just because I think politics are either A, boring, or sometimes just upsetting, and I'm here to not be those things. But obviously, guitar manufacturing, where stuff's made, is a subject that I think that a guitar channel should be talking about. And exactly, High Seas, this is what I'm saying. If you choose not to buy there for those reasons, that's my whole point. It would be a lot easier. Here's my argument with your argument. It would be a lot easier for the consumer to not buy a guitar made in China if the guitar in America was superior. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm getting at, is that although there's a political reason to buy or not buy from a country or a place, or, you know what I mean? I mean, think about this. You know, controversy is just part of this business. I've done 600 and something videos on this channel, and I don't think there's a single company that I've done a video of where there's not a comment about what that company's done wrong somewhere, right? So everybody's got an opinion about this. But like I said, ultimately, I believe every company should strive to make the best product, and there you go. So I agree with you because I'm very conflicted. Let me tell you, if I haven't talked about it, I don't want to bore you guys, but the PRS SE, the hollow body tube behind me, made in China, I received, I think I told the story, I don't want to rehash it again, but I received it from PRS before COVID, and then it took 3 or 4 months before they were able to let me release the video. They told me not to release it, obviously, until it was cleared. And I'm glad it took that long because I was struggling with it the whole time for that same reason. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with having emotional things, but you know what I mean, emotional opinions about the market. Although I just don't want to change the focus here. Floopity Doo says, I like Chinese food. You know, there's a great joke I love. It says the only thing not made in China is Chinese food. I don't hope that's not a horrible statement to say, but I read it somewhere and I thought it was funny because, you know. Anyways, let's see. And see, and again, now Sean Brooks, and I'm just addressing his comment because again, I don't want to deflect from this stuff. He's saying that basically you can't have a company in China unless the Chinese government owns 51% of it in the business and stuff. And again, I don't think anyone in the planet Earth, even Chinese people, and this is just what I feel. Okay, so if you have a different opinion, please lodge it here. But can you keep it sane? I don't even believe the Chinese people appreciate the Chinese government. No one likes the Chinese government for the, you know what I mean? They're not a great entity. So I don't think there's any disagreement with that. I think the big disagreement, again, guitar community. We're only going to talk about guitar stuff. The problem in the guitar community is that you can make stuff in Indonesia, China, Korea, Japan, Malaysia, India. That's the thing. They're making this stuff everywhere, and you can't deny that China is the biggest player when it comes to manufacturing goods, and that's why companies are making stuff there. So my whole point is if you don't want to buy products made in China, just don't. It's easy. In the guitar community, it's very easy. In the TV world, it's probably unheard of, right? I don't know. Maybe there's some TVs made in Korea, but you have to weigh your. You know what I mean? You have to weigh your decisions. But like I said, you have a ton of products available to you that if you don't want to support a government or a type of business, again, you don't even have to support a type of business. Like sometimes when people get mad at a certain guitar company and they're like, I won't buy from them. I'm like, yeah, don't. That's how you fix the problem. See, you don't buy from them and their behavior will either change and then you can reassess then, or it won't change and they go out of business. So, and then Kreener, and this is the end of this subject. It says Kreener Guitars. I can't say your name, man. Kreenar Suku Guitar says, so should we throw away our smartphones? LOL, all phones are made in China. You know, it's funny. I just found out that some phones are not. Some phones are actually made in Korea. I just found that out. That was something my wife just found out and told me. But again, that's not the argument. The argument is again, I'm not judging anybody for what they purchase. Okay, what I'm saying is, and I don't think anyone should. Right? I believe you should be able, as long as it's legal, it doesn't hurt anyone. You should be able to buy anything you want. I don't care. What I'm saying is that when you're buying something, I hope you're educating yourself about why you're buying it. In other words, buying it for some of your own personal right reasons. I make decisions every day with the purchases I make, try to be as informed as I can about the subjects I can be about them. So I make decisions that are the best for me and my family, right? And that's all I'm saying about this is that, I hope that's what I'm just reminding everybody is that do what you want, but like I said. So, and then Hayes says, yeah, but the components are made in China. Well, everything's made in China. What I can tell you, and I will tell you this over and over again, and is this: when I told you guys I've been to 33 factories now around the world, and shops, and I've learned a lot. And what I've really learned over them is, besides all the ways that people make guitars and all the stuff that you can learn, which is very, very exciting. It's one of my favorite things in my life I've been able to achieve is to learn from all these places. That you learn that really China is dominating all the markets. So if you like that, then you're fine. If you don't like that, well, then that's what I'm telling you. You should, I don't know, let the companies know that aren't making in China. Let them, like I said, vote with your money. If you know a company is not making stuff in places you don't like, then do it. If you just like wood, if you don't like certain kind of wood because it's politically, something you're against, then don't buy it. All right. Oh, and it's good. Sean, thank you. He's kind of changing the conversation towards the right direction. Sean Brooks says something interesting I like. He says, Phil, isn't Indonesia the go-to place for cheap guitar factories now? Well, this is the important thing to remember, is that there are a few players in the game when it comes to guitar. Remember, the guitar community is small, okay? Feels big, it's not. It's tiny, okay? Most everybody in the guitar community knows each other. What it means the builders, the retailers, everybody, it's a very close community, manufacturers. So the reality is this: in the manufacturing game, in other words, the companies that build for the companies, there are a few companies that do it. When I say few, there could be 100, But you got to understand, it doesn't work the way you think. It's not like 100 and you're like, okay, and they all collectively make all the guitars. Literally, Samick and Cort they dominate a huge part of the industry by making the majority of the guitars. Okay, they're a huge part. So when it comes to where stuff's made, it usually has to do with where the biggest players are at, and that's where they go. Does it make sense? And it has nothing to do with the guitar industry, by the way. That's a business resource logic. In Phoenix, Arizona, we have a huge amount of call centers. For a ton of reasons. One, it's our time zones, but two, it's like once you start building a bunch of call centers, it makes it easier to build other call centers because you have a great resource of employees pools to pull from. Because hey, you can hire people that can handle customer service or collections or whatever you want. And same thing with manufacturing. You also see it congregate in certain places for all kinds of reasons. So yes, right now, if I was going to say who's the big growing, the biggest growing entity, it's Indonesia, and I think it's because all the reasons we know. They actually embrace the machinery aspect, the technological side of guitar building, which is good. They have great resources there, and they don't have the political stigma that China has, which is an advantage. Let's be honest, man. I think most players, not trying to pigeonhole anybody, but most players, when they see Indonesia over China, have all kinds of positive connotations to that. Has obviously from everything from the political side to just hey, I hear good things. So yeah. And but as we all know, that's how it keeps happening. It keeps moving. I'm sorry, Frat Level Midnight's making a joke about how hot. Why working at call center is great because it's hot as hell in Arizona. Yes. I feel like the show's gone awry. We got to get back on track. What else are we going to say? We're going to say. I want to say, I'm sorry, man, if I'm butchering your names. I'm assuming this H is silent. Cone? I'm probably wrong. It says, do you have a favorite JHS pedal? Yeah, you know what it is? It's the pedal I want. I want the bonsai tree. You guys, I sold a couple of my tube screamers. I've been saying this for years. If I didn't have all these tube screamers, I'd get the bonsai. I'm working there. That's my goal. My goal is to get to the bonsai. You know why? It's because the TS9 is a great pedal, but I don't like the button on the switch. I feel like I'm always pushing it. And it's not engaging. And I have the Maxon one. It's really good. And the same thing. I just started thinking about it. I just sold my Ibanez Mini tube screamer. It's a great pedal, but yeah. So that's the one I want is the bonsai. I think it's the best pedal he makes in the idea of what it does. Okay. And hold on a second. I just want to refresh this. I always think I have control of this stuff, and then it just goes out of control. What I mean by staying on top of you guys' comments or questions, and then I'm like, I see a bunch I didn't see. Chris says, Phil, why do people hate on EMGs? I have an Ibanez RG iron label with 8160s, and I love them. Because of exactly what I was just saying earlier, buddy. It's their eyes. Their eyes CMG. It's like plastic. It's not good. I just put, you know what it is? I just did it. I've been fighting back and forth with this for years. I just put my set of laces back in there. And I finally got my third dually. Some of you guys know, if you follow the channel, I had two defective dualies in a row. And I was like, and I told myself, I go, what are the odds I get a third defective dually? So I got another one, and it works fine. So I have my three laces, and they sound great. They're such good pickups. And even though I always tell people, they remind me of Epcot. They just got this like 70s future plastic look. But same thing, EMGs. I think it's aesthetic thing, right? I think, because I tell you right now, your eyes tell you EMGs sound like a certain thing. And then sometimes when I hear EMGs, I go, man, they sound good. So yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny. I think a lot of players would be shocked to find certain players using EMGs for certain situations. The idea that they're just for metal is to me is horrible because they do so many things great. They're fantastic pickups. Fox with a W, Fox in the Hound. That's cool. It's phonetic. Fawkes. And the Hound says, Phil, what's a reasonable price range for service like pickup, install, and setup in COVID times? Thanks. I don't know. The sad thing about labor like that is it's definitely direct. It's definitely connected to where you live. So I can tell you, let's start with a setup. A setup should charge. depending on their area, $30 to $100. It sounds almost like a cop-out when I say it out loud. I charge $80 now. I was charging $75 forever, so I'm up to $80 now for a setup is what I charge. I feel like my setups are on the high end. There are local repair shops that I think do pretty good work in town that do it for $60. I'm just not going to do it for $60. It has nothing to do with YouTube. I've said this before. When I was $75 before I even made my first YouTube video. My prices have always been depicted on, and so very clear, and everybody's going to have different reasoning for this. My prices have always been dictated by my availability, my resource of me. How much time do I have to do this stuff? And I can physically only do so many. So if you, for some reason, want me to do the work, I got to charge a thing that makes sense. So I went to 80 before COVID. So it's not because I didn't bump because of COVID. In fact, I was shut down for almost 3 months during COVID, not doing repairs at all. So that's what I charge. I think the fair going rate, depending on where you live, is probably $50-$60. But like I said, there's people that charge $100. And I'm pretty sure one of their main reasoning, you can go on Sweetwater's website and they have a price list sheet that tells you all their prices. And I think that's when I first, a couple years ago, started raising my prices. I saw what they were charging. Because I was usually just charging what everybody else was charging around me. Pickup installs are another easy thing too. Pickup installs are usually $25 a pickup. That's what it goes for around here in my area, so $50. But what I will tell you, Fox and the Hound, is this. You can do pickup installs yourself and you can do your own setups. That's something you can do. I love it when somebody goes, I love it when somebody tells me a price is unreasonable. And I'm like, well, do it yourself. I understand. And so, I'm not judging you for saying that. I get angry sometimes, emotionally upset when I see the prices of what its car wash costs now, and but I don't want to do it, so I go do it. I try to take the truck to get it washed, gone are the days where I used to just pull up and it was like $9, and they used to, hey, $3 more and we'll do your rims and tires, and you're like, okay, that I think it's like $25 now, and my car comes out half dirty, so. Scott says, can a guitar tech make a 6-figure salary? I don't believe so. Okay. It's just not, it's not possible. It's not likely. And the reason I say that is because it's always has to do with, it's going to really be the deal. The deal is, so let me explain guitar techs. This is a pretty interesting thing. This is one of those questions I love to say that I never got asked on the show before, and I always wondered why. What do guitar techs make? How do they make money? Well, first of all, there's a couple different kinds of guitar techs. First, I want to say, because of just a humble kindness, I'm going to exclude all the guitar techs at Guitar Center because I think that whole gig is BS. It's horrible. In fact, I'll just say bullshit. It's horrible. I got to curse because if you're working at Guitar Center as a guitar tech, I hope you're doing it to build your clientele, you're building your skill set, and then you move on. That deal is not a good deal. And if you're watching this and it upsets you because you work at a Guitar Center, you want to make a comment, that's fine. I hope after you make your comment about how you don't like what I'm going to say, I hope you take it in and maybe do as I suggest and leave when you get a shot, because that deal is horrible what they pay those guys. I have 2 friends that are guitar techs at Guitar Center, and it's horrible. Okay, so what should a guitar tech make? Sean says, maybe if you're a guitar tech for the Rolling Stones. Depends. Again, everybody's different. But let's talk about what you can make. If you wanted to repair guitars for a living, what can you make? Well, first of all, it depends on the gig. So if you get a job with a music store, in other words, working at renting, subleasing a space. That's a real common thing in the guitar repair world, is you find a store that needs a tech and you sublet the space. So if you can do that, that's a good deal, because what you can do is they have the landlord, they have the loans, they have all the work, they carry all the bulk of the insurance, and they're paying the electric bill, and you're paying them a flat rate for the space. So sometimes it's $200, sometimes it's $700, depends on where it is and how much traffic they're getting. So that's a really cool gig, because it's low rent, and now you're just working to build, and then you can start doing the math in your head. Okay, so if you're getting $50 for a setup and you do 10 of those, you make $500, right? And so if you can do 10 setups a week, that's $2,000 a month, and you're paying $700 overhead, and you make $1,300. So that's not a lot of money, but that's your base, right? Because again, work comes, with other repairs, refrets really make a lot of money real fast. So, Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm sorry, somebody just wanted Guitar Center. The other deal that I'm not too much of a fan of is where you give a piece of your income to the store. Okay, which is where they take 20 or 30% of whatever you charge. That is not a good deal, although it's a really common deal. I'm not saying if you're doing that deal right now you should stop. I'm just saying it's not ideal. The only advantage of that is if you don't make a lot, they don't take a lot, but you just said it out loud. You don't make a lot. So, that's not the goal. So I think if I was going to say what I think a good tech should make, I'll tell you what I paid myself as a guitar tech legitimately for 10 years. Just over 50,000 a year is what I was making as a guitar tech. That was my goal. It was for the first couple of years, it was almost impossible to pay myself that salary. So, but after time, I was able to do that. So about 50,000 a year was where I was trying to hit my target. And guitar tech. And so being a guitar tech, because it's a commission structure, you definitely want to, because it's piecemeal as jobs come in, you're going to have high times, low times, and you have to average it out. That's what I think is a fair amount for somebody to make. And I think that's a reasonable goal for an income to make. I think a lot of players could, or I think a lot of people could if they set up a shop. Now, if you decide to do a freestanding repair shop and do it yourself and do your own thing and be the owner operator, the rent's going to go up, and then once you add employees, you're changing all that stuff. I will tell you a sucker's bet. Sean Brooks says 50K is minimum wage in New York. So keep in mind, in Arizona, I think the average income in Arizona is 40K. So it's different, right? Different states, different things. Now that was different. I mean, it's different. What are you gonna say? The ownership aspect that's a little tricky is this. I learned this the hard way. As I expanded and took on employees and did more stuff, I found that I made more money gross, but I netted the same or less. So there you go. That's what I think those are reasonable expectations. What I would imagine if you asked me honest to goodness what I thought, if you, like let's say you're my friend of family and you came to me right now and said, hey, I'm going to start my own teching. I'm going to start teching, repairing guitars, and I'm going to set up a shop, or I'm going to set up a place with a place, or do it whatever, however. What do you think I can make? I think you would make, I'd say 25 to 30,000 a year would be the, not the max, but that's what you can expect to try to make hustling and working your butt off. Because here's the thing that they don't tell you. You can make good money, but then you have expenses, you have tooling expenses, you have other costs, and of course, heaven forbid anything goes wrong. So, all right, hold on, I have more. We're almost done. Okay, we're at the end, but I got a couple more questions. What are they? We have Oliver. Oliver says, big love from England. My question is about the best brand under 600 to $1,000 series. Do you think the best in the 600 range compete? I just want to make sure I understand your question, buddy. It says the best brand, $600 to $1,000 series. Do I think the best in the 600 range compete with the best in the 1,000 range? We'll do a $1,500 series. Yes, I will do an over $1,000 series, but it won't be imports. So at that point, it just makes sense to open it up to all the players, right? Yes, the problem I had with this video series, no one had done one before. As silly as it is, it's one of those like, who's the best guitars in these range? And everybody's like, oh, when you see that video, you're like, oh, of course, what an easy video to make. But it was really not, because I'm like, how do you grade everybody? And how do I figure this out? And it's so easy. If it was a bunch of us sitting around right now, we're like, who's the best brands? And you'd be like, oh, Fender. And I'm like, no, it's G&L. And then I'm like, yeah, but how do you quantify that? And so I created these Excel spreadsheets, and I started putting scoring points in categories and started figuring things out. And it really didn't have to follow that by any means, but I wanted it as a guideline so I can stay consistent. My whole hope, which I think I pulled off, I feel like I pulled it off pretty good, was I was trying to make a bunch of videos that didn't seem like I was just like, what is he talking about? The other video, he said this, and now he's saying this, because it's like, it's emotional, but you want some kind of guideline. What I really feel is this, that opens a conversation. Here's a good conversation that opens. It opens it to the conversation of, what's it? Law of diminishing returns. Where do the laws of diminishing returns happen? And I think there's little holes where, Yeah, you buy a guitar. You can buy a $600 guitar. A guitar at $600 is the peak of that price category. Is a great guitar. Where then for some reason at $800 you can be buying a cut down rate version of a $2,000 guitar that's not as good as the $600 guitar. Does that make sense? A perfect example, I think, of this is this. If you think about it, and if I want a good example, this is the example I think of. When I think of a guitar that's like does exactly what I'm saying, it's the $600 Epiphone. You know, double bound body, gorgeous top, plays great, beautiful, you know, flaming. And then for $800, a stripped down, no finish, just mahogany Gibson tribute Les Paul, right? I'm not saying that guitar is bad, but think about that. It's $200 more, but it's stripped down to almost nothing. And at that point, they're almost the same comparable componentry. In other words, they're using the same kind of import style bridges and tuning keys, either don't or come with gig bags, nothing really special when it comes to cases. So that's my point. See how weird it is to grade like this? That's why I said so to your point, to your question, yes, I think it's interesting. Yes, I believe that that's why I was really careful about how I was doing that. I believe that if you ask me like which is the better quality instrument, overall I think the $600 Epiphone beats the $800 Gibson, as long as we take out that one anomaly, which is it's a freaking USA made Gibson. Like as soon as that weird statement is taken out, then this guitar is not as good as the other guitar. But being the brand power of being Gibson and the factor of being made in the USA, and a lot of people, especially right now on this channel, a lot of people from all around the world, sometimes they don't understand it. I don't know if it's a big deal everywhere. It's probably not. Some people, yes, some people no. But in the US, okay, I hope that if you live in Japan, I hope that Japanese guitars in Japan are valuable. I hope if you're in Germany, Germany-made guitars are valuable. I hope if you're UK guitars are valuable. And in the US things have value to people in the US because it's our country and it supports our economy and it's right. And a lot of people are like, just because it's made in USA, it means it's good. You know, generally Americans believe that we make the best stuff. I'm of course I believe that. I like I said, I hope that you guys, wherever you live, I hope you believe you make the best stuff. I hope somebody watching right now in Canada is like, no, we make the best stuff. I hope that's what you believe because that's what you're supposed to believe, right? Home team, right? You're supposed to be for your home team. That's my opinion. But aside from that, there's this thing in the U.S. that a U.S. made guitar has more clout, and of course, the biggest thing in U.S. is it has resale value. So, there you go. Has better resale value. And then Smelly Cat's Jad says, I knew this was going to be named. I much prefer the Gibson Tribute because of the nitro finish in the pickups. I don't need frills. Just feel it sounds good. Now, see, that's an intangible, right? So let me give you a perfect example, Smelly Cat, where you're going with this, and I'm agreeing with you. I literally have no desire to own a Fender Strat with a 5A flame top. It's just something, like to me, a Strat in that metallic blue with a white pickguard, no pearl pickguard, just white. That's all I need. I'm happy. So if somebody said, "Oh yeah, but that guitar comes with a 5A flame top and a pearl pickguard," I'd be like, I don't care. That's the intangible, right? So you are preferring something that is, it's not a quality thing. It's less fancy, I guess, right? Like is what I'm trying to say. So if I said, "Oh, I like this better," it's, you know what I mean? That's the whole point I was making with the Epiphone versus Gibson. The Epiphone is all glammed up and the Gibson is all stripped down. And so then when you look at it for value of price, here's what I mean by that. It's not that I'm saying $800 for the Tribute isn't good. I'm just saying you think in your head, why isn't it less money than the thing that's all tricked out, right? So a perfect example, what I'm saying is if they made this Strat and it was $1,000, but then the 5A flame one with the pearl pickguard was $800, you'd be like, that doesn't make any sense. It should be the opposite of that because the other one's got more fancy stuff on it. So it's like buying a car with leather seats that cost less than cloth. You could say, I don't like leather seats, but it's regardless, it's perceived that the leather seats have more cost. So therefore equates more value in the idea. Again, we're just talking about ideas. Let's see. Thunder Falcon asked this question. I got this asked a question before. It says, what do you think of Fender Yosemite Strat pickups? I know I just played some recently. and they were fine. Like I didn't, like, whoa. I remember somebody asked me this question before, and I remember I hadn't played them, and I just got my hands on some and I played them. And like I said, I remember thinking I liked them. So, but I don't have a stronger opinion. And so the good news is there's no negative opinions, just no strong opinions, because no heavy examination of them. ER Webster, hey ER, how's it going, buddy? Says I basically followed the exact path my first guitar got fixed up thanks to your how-to videos. Oh, cool. So ER is talking about, he watched me and my little, hey, here's some tricks and tips. And then he started going down the deeper path, going down the deeper rabbit hole. And again, that's what's really cool. Like I said, it's, and ER, if you guys don't know, I did a shout out to his channel. He's doing the Guitar Build-Off Challenge. He's doing a great job. I just watched his newest video, I think was this week. I watched it this week. I don't know if you put it out last week. I thought it was this week because I thought when I watched it, it said it was like only like 10 hours old or something. But and he's doing great. And so I'll put a link to that when I do the index. But exactly that, right? It's fun. It's a fun thing. And it's always interesting to see where it takes you. I always find that as people work on guitars, you get to a point where either you just want to keep building guitars. You get addicted to it. You get addicted to either building guitars or you get immediately go, okay, like here's a good example. I was just contemplating today buying a loaded pickguard from 920D. I was looking at them and I was laughing, thinking, wow, I wonder what people would think if they knew I was buying a loaded, already pre-wired pickguard. But you know what it is? I don't want to do it. What happens to me sometimes is I get all these parts and I do videos and that's great, but sometimes I get some parts for my guitar and my guitar sits dead for months because I don't have time to do my thing. So I was like, well, maybe if I just order it preloaded from them, I just drop it in and I have no excuse. So like I said, it's funny how this works as a thing. Gabriel says, hey, Phil, what is the easiest guitar to play in your collection? Oh, the one that makes notes play themselves. Oh, that's a great question. I would say it's funny. I'll tell you what it is now and what it was. It is now my PRS Mira. I don't think it's here. No, it is. It's out of view. I can slowly put it in view. It's right there, bottom row, right underneath my bass. It plays like butter. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with Miras. It has that guitar is just sick. Sick guitar and it plays amazing. The guitar that did play the best was my famous Panthera that I sold to Unfreaking Believable. That guitar played so easy. It actually was ruining guitars for me. It was like every time I played it, I was like, yeah. And then I play another guitar and I'm like, man, it's difficult. But that's the guitar that plays nice for me. But it has, so playing, this is probably the better part of the question. I love this better part of the answer. When we say play easy, because right now some of you newer players are like, what are they talking about? Is the strings more bendy? Playing easy is a again, I don't want to say non-tangible again, but non-tangible perceivable thing. In other words, a thing that you think is happening. That's what I've learned. Because I can make the action super low on a guitar, and you're like, oh, it's light to touch. But it's really not that. Some guitars just feel effortless. There was a question earlier today I missed, and like I missed most of the questions, and the guy said, Phil, I took 2 Strats. I caught it. I just couldn't react to it because I was doing the unboxings. It says, I took 2 Strats to the same luthier. He did setups to the same guitars, yet they feel totally different. There's a couple things. First of all, with Strats, always keep in mind that there's more going on under the hood than you think. In other words, those springs in the back do more than you think. So when somebody says one guitar doesn't react the same on a Strat, I always say, okay, are the claws in the same position? Are the springs the same springs? You know what I mean? Those factor in there. You have to factor in. So if somebody says, yeah, it's the same bridge, same action, same gauge of strings, same type of strings, I go, yeah, but what about the springs and the claw in the back? Are they set in the same spots? Because that does change things. Even when bending and stuff, because again, that bridge moves and it can pull back and all kinds of things. But back to the core of what Gabriel's question is, which is easy to playing guitars usually to me have nothing to do with the action. They have nothing to do with string gauge. It's just like I said, it's a handshake. It's like you know how you shake somebody's hand. I wish some of you guys are not going to understand this, but the ones that do, I know you're going to with me. You ever shake someone's hand and in that handshake, I hate them or I like them? I have that experience all the time. I shake somebody's hand, I can just tell. I can tell, excuse my language, I can tell somebody's an asshole from a handshake in a second. Just literally shake their hand. And it's not because they squeeze your hand. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody's handshake tells you more than you think. And some people don't get that. And I don't know what it is. But so I always say, I call it the handshake with a guitar. When my hand touches the neck and I start playing, there's something happening there. I just know the guitar is right. It feels great. It's easy to bend. The mirror, to me, it's not about how light it plays. It's just, it feels good every time I play it. It's doing what I need it to do. It plays great. Okay. Okay, I got to read this comment. It just jumped, but I'll find it. It said, I don't know who said it. Somebody said, just go to your local Guitar Center and steal the springs out of the Silver Sky. Yeah. My favorite springs, I tried all the springs at FU Tone. I highly recommend those. My buddy Eric gave me one of each one of the sets, and that's what sent me down the road. But my favorite springs, for some reason, are the ones that Fender sell, the black ones. Those are the ones I like, so I buy those. I'll stick them on most of my guitars now. I don't know what it is. I should put them on. You could probably gauge what it is. Springs, what I can tell you is there's different tensions. They look the same. They're not. You learn this as you do setups on so many guitars and pull the springs out of guitars. They're all different thickness of wire spun around. They're different materials. They're different lengths. They're different. They're different. So like when you go, oh, but the claw's in the same position. But I'm like, is the springs the same? Are they the same length? Are they the same gauge of wire? That factors in, not just to the tremolo, because like I said, the only thing that happens that's different, if you really want to know, on a side note, if you want to know, if you have two Strats and you want to see, and they're playing identical, what I would do is crank the claw down in the back so that the springs are pulling the bridge against the body so it's blocked, right? Some people just put a piece of wood behind the block so it won't move. And then that way when you're bending, the bridge won't move like a hardtail. And that would give you the best sense of those two guitars if you wanted to see them to be identical. But really what I've experienced is when you're bending on any kind of guitar with a tremolo or playing chords, that tremolo is constantly moving, and how it moves changes the way the strings feel to you. Okay, how are we doing? We're good. I think we hit it. We did a long show, even though we started with a disaster, but we ended with this amazing, all this amazing stuff. I don't want to take any credit away from Justin, or Brad. I'm like looking at all this stuff. It's just what a great day. It's gonna definitely be my weekend for sure. And then I feel like I gotta do. Hold on. I think I saw one more super chat. I'll do one more super chat, one more non-super chat. As soon as I verify that's all I got is one super chat. Okay, I have 4 super chats. So don't do any super chats because I'm not going to refresh it, so I won't see it this week. It says, first, Dark Shadow Widow. I'm saying it wrong, and you did super chat for no reason. I appreciate that. I'll just call you Dark Shadow. Shadito. I don't know. Buzz Wilson says, not to put you on the spot. Oh, well, but gonna put you on the spot here. You need a Strat style guitar to take to a gig and not worry much if it gets dropped or even stolen. What are you going to buy? Mexican Strat. Absolutely. See how fast that was? Mexican Strat. I have a Mexican Strat. Literally, that's what it is. You know what was funny? I was just talking about Chris at the Guitar Pit. PRS sent me one of their new stands, right? Jean asked me if PRS if I wanted to check one out. And it was tough because I was like, I don't know. So she sent one. And funny enough, I saw Chris at the Guitar Pit, and he just reviewed one, and he knocked it over in his yard. It's a fun video. I'll put a link to it. It's great. And it's a great video. And he was talking about like what if your dog comes and knocks it over? And he's like, what if somebody knocks it over? And I was thinking when I was watching this, like, who are all these obnoxious asses at his house? Like, maybe you should need better friends, right? I was laughing in my head, right? And so my point is, I was going to say this is perfect timing. I wanted to bring this up. What Chris needs is not a stand that keeps his guitar safe, although I know he was going for the joke on the video. You need a decoy guitar. I have a decoy guitar. It's my Mexican Strat. So what is my Mexican Strat? It's just you guys have seen it in videos. It's just a Mexican-made Fender Strat. It's a great guitar. I've had it forever. And what it is that's the guitar I can take anywhere. I don't worry about it. And if somebody just, kids come over, sometimes kids come over, right? And they're like, hey, can I play one of these guitars? That's like the worst thing to a guitar collector, by the way. Your friends come over and they're like, 8-year-old kids like, can I see your guitar? And you're like, and I always go, yeah, here. And I just give them the Mexican Strat. And they always say the same thing. But can I see that Les Paul looking one? You're like, no. But that's what it is. And so yeah, I think it's a great guitar. And you can know what it is. I tell everybody this. If you want one of those guitars, Buzz, you pick one up the same way I did. You just one day you see one for $250, $300 and you grab it. And then Dark Shadow Widow did it again, but this time has a comment, and I'm probably still saying it. It looks like Shadow Widow with a T. Hey Phil, where can I find good tools for guitar work? I don't trust Amazon. Only been playing for a year or so, and I'm new to this. Look, I trust StewMac. They're just expensive. There's no question in my mind about recommending StewMac tools to anybody. The only caveat is they're expensive. Keep in mind, I'm never going to say that their prices are worth it. Okay. What I will say is that that's what I own and I did buy them. Right. So there you go. I mean, I don't know what other accolade I can give. But if you buy them, you'll buy them once and you'll have them forever. They have great service. In fact, like I said, my biggest problem when I started doing my YouTube videos, and the reason I'm even involved with StewMac in any way, is that StewMac guys, they reached out to me because they noticed that I kept using their tools that haven't been made in like 10 years. So they kept sending me the newest version so that when I would do the video, they could obviously get some sales from that, because they didn't want you guys going on their website and being like, well, the one he had is different looking, right? So that's it. So that's what I recommend. You know what? Here's the thing. Here's a tip when it comes to StewMac. First of all, their shipping is ridiculous. They know that. They haven't told me that, but I mean, I've told them that personally. I don't hold anything you guys tell me. I tell the companies I deal with. I've told Brock at StewMac that their shipping is ridiculous. That being said, Dark Shadow Widow, what I would recommend you do is this is what you do. Okay. You don't go there and buy tools. You set a budget for yourself. If it's $100, $200, whatever it is, $50, you have to set a budget, and then go there and go, okay, what can I knock out and get? And it has to do with that. StewMac asked me if I would do a list for their tools, and they were going to post on their website and everything. I don't know if it's because COVID, but that fell through. So if you guys are interested in that, put a comment down below. I will definitely make a list of not all the tools, like no ridiculous thing. Like seriously, like if like here, maybe if you think that's a video, I would love to do a video. Like if you only had $200, what StewMac tools would I absolutely own for $200 that would get me through forever? And I can already tell you right now, the list I was trying to do for them was $150, but it would be a lot easier if I just did $200. I would love to do that list. I don't get anything for that, like, affiliates. They don't have any affiliate programs with them, but obviously it would do well for them, and maybe it'd do well for you guys. And then what's great about that is Dark Shadow Widow, it's the weirdest name to have to say over again, is that I'll give you the list, and then with Amazon and stuff, just like anywhere else, you can source cheaper tools. One of the things I will caution people about, there's certain tools, and I'll tell you this, like the fret rocker, the StewMac one's good. It's expensive, but like this one he made, obviously he made this and it's awesome. I mean, like I said, you can use a business card. I have a video where I use a credit card to as a fret rocker. Works fine. Could totally be fine with it forever. And then Paul says, with StewMac membership, shipping is free. I don't know why I don't do that. I think it's because in my head, it just means I'm going to spend more money with StewMac. I will say this, though. I want to say a compliment to StewMac. I just recently had something funny happen with StewMac, and I just feel like I feel bad if I don't say this to you guys and let you guys know this publicly. I bought $900 worth of tools from StewMac a couple weeks ago, and they found out, and they emailed me and asked me why I did that. And I said, well, I didn't want to wear out my welcome. I said I needed some tools, and they were very gracious, and they sent me a partial refund for some stuff and sent me some extra stuff. And that was really cool. I get it. It's a channel. They get exposure and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not dumb, right? I understand what the monetary gain is from interacting with a channel like this. But I just want to say it made me feel really good because, you know what I mean? It was nice. It was a nice gesture is what I'm trying to say. And it was really cool. It really made me happy because because I wasn't expecting it. All right. Yeah, Matt Harrison says, I got a notch straight edge from Amazon. It's great. And so you guys know, I did a video where I reviewed some Amazon tools that I bought and compared them and looked at what I liked. And there were some that are really good and some they're not. In fact, there's some of those tools from the Amazon purchase I'm still using, and some of them I tossed in the trash. But I said that in the video, which ones I liked and which ones I didn't. So there you go. And then Dylan says, I'd love to see the tools that you do to do a real setup on a guitar. And that's what I was going at with this was, what tools do you absolutely have to have? Exactly. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll make the promise right now. Here's the promise. I hate to say next week, because it's just always like when you say that, it's just so BS because it never happens. I promise you guys, before, not next week, but in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, I promise there'll be an episode. I'll do a video where I'll just, like I said, roll out the tools that I use for everything you need for I'll just call it everything you need for a setup. These are the tools, walk through, I'll rate them, and then do a quick setup on a video and walk through that. And the video, and that I've been telling myself I'd be doing that for a while and I haven't done it. The problem I'm noticing now with a lot of you viewers is a lot of my repair videos are in these other videos and they're not isolated enough for you to find them, so it gets a little weird. Oh, okay. And then, because we're going long anyways, it says TM Bridge says, what are your thoughts about using special lighting and or filters on guitar photos when posting to Reverb, eBay, dishonest or legitimate? No, it's bull crap. Pisses me off epically. I've had it happen to me so many times. I'm going to go on a tirade now. I've had it to me so many times that I think I almost just want to choke somebody. And I'm not a violent person, but my dog's barking. My dog's mad because I'm mad. First of all, let me tell you, the first time it ever happened to me that really upset me was I did a video. Do you guys remember I did a review of a Diamond guitar? And I reviewed the guitar, and I had 2 of them, and I never reviewed the second one. And the reason I didn't was because the guitars were great. The problem I got was I got the guitars, and when I opened the boxes, my first reaction was like, these don't look like what they looked like on the website. Then I was like, what's going on? So I pushed through the video, and I did the first video onus on me. In other words, I went and I just ignored that fact because I'm like, that's me. It's my mistake. I did it wrong. Well, later I found out that Diamond Guitars, the old Diamond Guitars, was photoshopping the pictures in their website. And that's why the tops look so great. And when I found that out, I was actually like furious. I was like, yeah, that would explain, because again, there was nothing wrong with the guitars. You know what it was? I don't know what was wrong with me. When you go to the fast food restaurant and you see the picture of the burger, when you get that smushed piece of crap burger, you don't get upset because you're aware of it. It's just the idea that I thought I was still getting that picture. So I was a little upset about it. But I'll tell you some of the other things. I've had it happen now on Reverb so many times where, there's accidental things on Reverb. For instance, they don't use the best camera. Maybe they use their phone. And so you know about cameras, if you don't know this basic thing about cameras is some cameras can't get all the colors. So like, for instance, the cameras I use in my videos, which are Sony cameras, I have Sony and Canons. Like I have a Canon 70D and I have a Sony 4K and stuff like that. I think I have it. Yeah, I do. That surf green telly right there, in most of my videos, you guys think it's a different color because the camera's like not using that color. Like my lack of what I know about cameras, it grabs some color or makes a color that's closest to the spectrum it can understand, so it's not right. So that happens on Reverb. That's not the person's fault. Although I personally feel, I love it when people put in their auction, like, this guitar looks blue, but trust me, it's really green. You know what I mean? Put that in there. If you know the picture doesn't look like what it looks like, put a disclaimer. But I've had it happen where I got a guitar, literally a guitar that is green, and I thought I was buying blue. I still have it to this day, and I sent the guy an email. He even put it as the wrong color. He labeled it. So yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, no. I think taking a picture and photoshopping it you say airbrushing it? What do you say? Using lighting. Look, trying to get the thing to look its best, there's nothing wrong with that. But making it not look like what it is, that's where it crosses the line. There you go. All right. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Matt wants to know. Matt Budd says, I'm here late. Did Phil talk about the 335 we've been seeing glimpses of? I did not, buddy. But that video is, that is not the next video, but it's coming fast. I'll be talking about the ES335s. Fives, plural. Not a sponsored video, by the way. It's not sponsored by anybody. So, but, yeah, and then a lot of you guys are now just talking about color temps and all kinds of cameras, but same thing. Yeah, like I said, I understand. I'm horrible with cameras, so I understand being horrible with cameras, but there's a difference between that and then 94 Dodge says I didn't do a super chat, so let me find it, buddy, and then we'll end with yours. That's how this works. 94 super chat. 94 Dodge dude says, hey Phil, wondering about your experience of true nitro, i.e. Gibson PRS private stock versus new nitro over cellulose finish on new cores for necks. Okay. I am not I don't care about finishes. I used to think that I liked finishes. I used to think like nitro is sticky because it is, and poly is not sticky. There was all these things. And then what I've learned now is that in the right guitar, things feel in a certain way. They feel pretty good. So what he's talking about for the rest of you is there's a bunch of different kinds of finishes. There's obviously polyurethane, polyester, nitro, nitrocellulose lacquer. Sorry, maybe I need water again. Hold on. And then, hold on, where's it at? And then he was also talking about true nitro, whatever, nitrocellulose lacquer. And then there's cellulose finish over nitrocellulose finish. So in other words, so you know, there's other things. There's like acrylic, and then there's sometimes they can put acrylic over nitro over acrylic. I don't believe. I'm sorry, guys. I told you this before. I believe in the everything matters a percentage. I believe the percentage of the tone coming from the finish is like 0.00001%. It's just off my radar. So when somebody says, oh, when you beat up a guitar, it sounds better because it exposes more of the wood, you know, sure, you know, if you think that, great, but I don't hear it. So if I don't hear it, it doesn't matter to me. That's the terminology I like to talk in, so you guys know. That I don't tell somebody they're wrong because I don't care. It's not like I said, it's not like a safety concern for me. You can believe whatever you believe. I don't hear it. I don't hear a difference between polyester, polyurethane, or nitro. I don't. If you give me the same guitars with different finishes, there might be a difference. But again, it's so minor that whatever the difference is doing, I think I can counteract it with a different pickup or different adjustments on the amp or stuff like that. So to me, the finishes all become about how they feel. And that's why I said how they feel. Behind me right now on the wall, as you can see, I have different finishes. That's nitro, that's polyurethane. That's probably polyester or polyurethane. That's nitro. That's polyurethane. I think Kiesel's polyurethane. They might be polyester. The reason is, excuse my cough, I'm sorry. The reason I tell you this is because when you go to all these factories, you see all these reasonings for why they paint stuff. And I'm just going to give you what I learned from that, and that maybe help you the most. What I learned visiting all the factories is the finishes usually, in marketing, the marketing side of the company, it's all about the magic of the finish. But in the manufacturing side, it's all about the efficiency of the finish. How well can they make the guitars with that finish? That's what I learned going in the kitchen, so to speak, is that everybody can talk a good game about their finishes and what they do to the sound, but realistically, it's going to be what works best for them. I've seen people say nitro works better, but then they admittedly told me that they like working with nitro. And then I've heard people say, well, polyurethane is far superior, nitro is crap. Yet then in the background, they told me they just hate working with nitro, right? So it's the same logic. So again, it's not that I believe a finish doesn't affect the sound or doesn't affect anything. I just don't think it's that important. KSWG 200 says, sand those sticky necks. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've done that. So it depends. The only argument I do really understand is when somebody says nitrocellulose is sticky and it feels weird to them. You know what I mean? Because it's like makes them all, stick to that. That I understand. That I get. But like the whole idea that nitro breathes is just silly to me. Nitro doesn't ever truly harden. That is a fact. What that matters, I have no idea what it would matter. But Archie 3K says, why does nitrocellulose smell so nice? I have to smell the guitar every time I pull it out and play it. Yeah, if you guys don't know, it does. It smells sweet, like candy. That's nice, right? Sometimes the polyester to me is the most plasticky smelling. It smells like pool toys gone wrong. So yeah. Yes, vanilla. Some people say it smells like vanilla. I can see that too. Definitely has a vanilla smell. I do like it. And then 94 Dodge Dude says, how do you feel about the new PRS finishes? So I bought a new PRS and it has the new finish, the new nitro. In fact, Nathan was making fun of me because he was like, oh, you had to have the new nitro finish. It's not why I did it. I've talked about this before. PRS has had problems with their finishes lifting on certain guitars. And I don't know. I tried to talk to Jack Higginbotham about this on the podcast I did with him, but he's not really versed in that side of the company. So I didn't really feel like pursuing it with him because he's been heading up the SC side. So it wasn't, I didn't get that he didn't want to talk about it. Just he didn't have all the information I was looking for. But my point is, I was trying to see if that's why they changed the nitro, but I don't think that's why they changed the nitro cellulose finish. So if you guys don't know, all PRS guitars now, as of this year, are now nitrocellulose lacquer finish. All American guitars. If it comes out of the American factory, it's nitrocellulose lacquer. So I think they're saying that Paul says it sounds better. I don't know. I don't think it sounds better. All I care about is that the finish doesn't lift off the damn guitar. So, all right. On that note, I think we're going to call it. Okay, and I got to end on this note, and then we're calling it. Super Dan 247 Production says, did the shellac smell good when you did the tweed? The shellac smells okay. My daughter said it smelled pretty good, but what's funny was then I told her it comes from a bug's butt. It's bug poop. It's not really, but it's secreted from a bug, and she was like, "That's gross." But yeah, it smells okay. All right. And then Emil says, I know I said I'm done, but this is on the same subject. I just want to make sure we finish out the subject. It says, Phil, do you think PRS is going to lacquer? Do you think PRS going to lacquer will drive Fender to do more lacquer on its American guitars? No, mostly because regardless of anything, of pressure or anything, you understand Fender's in California. California's is harsh on laws when it comes to lacquer. So they're not in a place to where they're going to want to do that. No, I don't think companies actually care. Like, I don't think PRS went to lacquer because of Gibson. It's just, like I said, there's the thing about lacquer, and then this is how we end on the lacquer thing. The thing about lacquer that is cool is it ages, okay? I bought a blue PRS. It's got lacquer. I'm fully aware of the fact that it's probably going to start greening over time because the lacquer yellows and then the yellow coat over the blue hue will cause it to be green. It'll cause it to be different colors. That's why you see old Gibson Les Pauls that are silver burst. They look greenish because the yellow over the silver is kind of blue tinted. So the yellow coats the blue and then it turns green. There's something cool about lacquer just aging. It looks old and cool. Beat up, if that's what you're into, you know what I mean? If you like it all this stuff to age well, it ages. Where some of the polyurethanes look brand new 20 years later. So if you're, that's cool too. But a lot of people don't like that. They like the, I think I told you this story once. I have a friend who's a guitar player and he plays and he gigs out and he had an American Strat and he was playing out like seriously 4 times a week, 3-4 times a week. And after 2 years, the guitar still looked brand new. He's like, he just could not, because he didn't chip it, he didn't drop it, just literally could not wear the damn finish off. And he's like, yeah, all this work I'm playing, it doesn't even look like it. It looks like I just bought a new guitar. And he was not unhappy about it, but he kind of made him want a relic guitar, I think, a little bit more. All right. On that note, we'll follow up with this next week. As always, I gotta say, obviously, a big, huge thank you to everyone that hung out with me today. I know we were a little long, but I also gotta say thank you to Justin, to Brian, to Nathan. Thank you. Obviously, I'm sorry. Where's it at? I'm losing stuff. And I don't know why I call Brad Brian. Brad, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just a little space right now. Thank you. I know I was late on the birthday card. I got this about a week and a half ago, and I was just late. So thank you on that. Thank you again, Nathan and the guys, for this. I just still shocked. And again, one more time so you guys can see that just amazing top, that color. Thank you guys so much. I don't know how to end a show like this, so I'll just say thank you as always for your time. And until next Friday, know your gear.